In this video, I'm about to show you 10 Coles brand products you need to avoid and 5 you can actually trust, starting with the ones that should never make it into your trolley. Number 10. Coles brand tomato sauce right. Let's kick this off with something sitting on basically every Australian dining table: tomato sauce. Coles Smart Buy tomato sauce looks like a no-brainer. Big bottle, couple of dollars, easy grab from the bottom shelf. But I looked into this one properly, and what I found is genuinely not pretty. First, sugar content. Roughly 27 grams of sugar per 100 grams. To put that in perspective, that's more sugar per 100 grams than a Tim Tam biscuit. You're squirting dessert on your meat pie and calling it a condiment. And the tomato paste concentration? A 2021 Choice Australia Consumer Report flagged multiple supermarket brand tomato sauces for having diluted tomato solids, bulked out with water and thickeners instead of actual tomato content. The thickeners used 1,422 and 1,442 are modified starches that have been flagged for gut sensitivity, particularly in people dealing with irritable bowel conditions. Not catastrophic in tiny doses, but when you're pouring this on everything because it's cheap and it's always there, those doses stack up fast over time. Coles markets this as everyday value, but what you're actually paying for is mostly water, modified starch, and sugar dressed up to look like tomato sauce. If the price seems too good, there's always a reason, and with this one, the reason is written right there in the ingredient panel. Number 9. Coles brand frozen fish fillets. Frozen fish in Australia is already a minefield, and Coles' own brand battered fish fillets sit right in the middle of it. Families grab these every week for a cheap Friday night dinner. I completely understand the logic, but let's talk about what's actually inside that packet. The fish species used is basa, a catfish farmed predominantly in Vietnam's Mekong Delta. In 2022, the Australian Institute of Marine Science published findings highlighting antibiotic residue concerns in imported Asian farmed fish, with traces of enrofloxacin and oxytetracycline detected in tested samples. These are antibiotics that are either restricted or outright banned for food fish use in Australia. And yet, here they are, sitting in your freezer. Beyond that, sodium content sits at roughly 520 milligrams per 100 grams, before any sauce, before any salt at the table. For older Australians watching blood pressure, that number matters enormously. And that watery, rubbery texture after cooking? That's sodium triple phosphate, a chemical used to pump water weight into the fillet so it looks plumper and bigger in the pack than it actually is. You are buying water at fish prices. Nobody puts that on the front of the box, and they never will. Number 8. Coles brand cornflakes. Cornflakes. Simple, classic, supposed to be boring in the best possible way. Coles' own brand cornflakes come in that familiar orange-style box and cost noticeably less than Kellogg's. Every dollar counts, and I genuinely get why people reach for it. But the savings here come with a real nutritional trade-off that most people don't see coming. The glycemic index of standard cornflakes already sits around 81, that is high. Coles' version uses highly refined cornmeal with added malt flavoring that pushes that number even further along the scale. High GI breakfast foods cause a sharp blood sugar spike followed by a hard crash, which means you're genuinely hungry again by 9 in the morning and already reaching for more food. For anyone managing type 2 diabetes, and Australia has over 1.3 million diagnosed cases, according to Diabetes Australia, starting the day with this cereal is actively counterproductive to managing that condition. Sodium sits at around 300 milligrams per 100 grams, and the iron fortification added ferric phosphate is one of the least bioavailable forms of iron you can consume. It inflates the nutritional panel on the back of the box without actually delivering meaningful, absorbable nutrition to your body. Looks like a smart buy every time. It genuinely isn't. Number 7. Coles brand crunchy peanut butter. Peanut butter feels wholesome. It's peanuts. A bit of salt. What could possibly go wrong? Coles' own brand crunchy peanut butter is exactly where that comfortable logic falls apart. Check the ingredient list carefully. Right there after peanuts, you'll find sugar, and then vegetable oil. That vegetable oil in budget peanut butters typically means palm oil or partially hydrogenated blends used to stabilize texture and prevent natural separation. A 2020 analysis of Australian supermarket peanut butters by Nutrition Australia found that several private label varieties contained added oils that significantly increased saturated fat content compared to natural, minimally processed alternatives. That sugar addition pushes this product closer to a confectionery spread than a legitimate protein source. And for older Australians, managing cholesterol cardiovascular disease remains Australia's #1 cause of death year after year. The difference between a natural peanut butter and this formulation is genuinely not trivial. You think you're making a healthy, sensible choice, and the label is quietly working against that choice every single morning. Number 6. Coles brand Greek-style yogurt. This one made me genuinely frustrated when I dug into it. Greek-style is doing enormous heavy lifting on that label. Real Greek yogurt is strained. That is precisely what makes it thick, high in protein, and lower in liquid whey. Coles's Greek-style yogurt is not strained. It uses thickeners, specifically modified starch and gelatin, to fake that thick texture without going through the actual straining process. The protein content drops dramatically as a direct result. Authentic strained Greek yogurt delivers around 9 to 10 grams of protein per 100 grams. Coles Greek-style version comes in at around 4 to 5 grams per 100 grams. That is the protein content of completely regular yogurt, dressed up in Greek packaging and sold at a Greek yogurt price. Choice Australia has repeatedly flagged the Greek-style labelling issue as one of the most consistently misleading practices in Australian dairy. Marketing. You are paying a premium for a product thickened with gelatin and starch. For anyone who is dairy sensitive, that modified starch addition is an additional gut irritant on top of everything else. Read the label every time. Don't let the word Greek do the thinking for you. Number 5. Coles brand Long Life Orange Juice. Orange juice feels healthy. Vitamin C, bright colour, decades of Australian breakfast tradition behind it. But Coles' own brand Long Life Orange Juice, the cardboard carton version, is a long way from squeezing an actual orange into a glass. It is made from concentrate. The reconstitution process strips out naturally occurring flavour compounds. So manufacturers add what the industry internally calls flavour packs, proprietary aromatic blends engineered to make reconstituted juice taste fresh squeezed. These don't need to be declared separately on Australian labels because they are technically derived from orange byproducts. The sugar content sits at approximately 8.7 grams per 100 millilitres. A standard 250 milliliter glass delivers around 22 grams of sugar with almost none of the fibre that would come from eating an actual whole orange. That fibre is precisely what slows sugar absorption in your body. Without it, you are drinking a slightly nutritious soft drink. The glycemic index of fruit juice from concentrate runs between 65 and 70, squarely in soft drink territory. For the money Coles charges for this carton, 2 actual oranges would serve your body considerably better. Number 4. Coles brand Butter Chicken Simmer Sauce. Ready-made simmer sauces are weeknight staples across Australian households, and Coles' own brand Butter Chicken Simmer Sauce is everywhere in grocery trolleys. Cheap, smells good in the jar, promises a quick and easy dinner. But I went through this ingredient list very carefully, and there is stuff in here that simply doesn't belong in what most people would consider a home-cooked meal. Maltodextrin, a filler carbohydrate with a glycemic index higher than table sugar, sitting around 110. It is used to bulk out the sauce cheaply and maintain that glossy thick appearance in the jar. It adds absolutely nothing except a blood sugar spike to your evening meal. Sodium sits at roughly 480 milligrams per 100 grams. A standard serve of 125 grams puts you at 600 milligrams of sodium before you've added a single ingredient to the pan. The Heart Foundation of Australia recommends no more than 2,000 milligrams total per day. One jar of this sauce for a family dinner pushes every adult at the table uncomfortably close to their daily sodium limit in a single sitting. And that cream, listed on the label, it is dried cream powder, a processed derivative that delivers neither the flavour nor the texture of actual cream. The richness you think you're tasting is largely vegetable oil bulking agents doing the work. Cook your own. Tin of tomatoes, real cream, a basic spice blend, same time investment, genuinely better result every single time. Number 3. Coles brand chocolate chip cookies. Everyone knows cookies aren't health food. That is completely fine and nobody is pretending otherwise. But the specific issue with Coles' own brand chocolate chip cookies isn't just the expected sugar. It is the particular fat type being used and what that means when you're eating these regularly over time. Palm oil. Listed as vegetable oil, because Australian labelling laws do not require manufacturers to specify which vegetable oil is actually being used. Palm oil runs at roughly 50% saturated fat, and at the quantities present in a proper serving of these cookies, it contributes meaningfully to saturated fat intake in a way that consumers have absolutely no real visibility into. The flavour listed on the panel covers artificial compounds simulating butter and vanilla notes that aren't present from real ingredients in any meaningful quantity. A 2019 University of Sydney Food Science review confirmed that artificial flavour use in private label biscuits is significantly higher than in branded equivalents, a direct result of cost-cutting on real dairy and vanilla inputs. And portion reality, the listed serving size, is 3 cookies. Nobody in the history of buying these cookies has closed the packet after 3. The actual sugar and fat numbers for a real sitting are considerably higher than what is printed on that packet. Number 2. Coles brand deli sliced ham. Processed deli meat is a genuinely difficult category in Australian supermarkets, and Coles' own brand sliced ham sits at the more concerning end of that spectrum. This is not about saying ham is bad. Occasionally, it is about what is specifically in this product and how regularly and casually Australians consume it without a second thought. Sodium nitrite preservative 250 keeps that familiar pink colour and extends shelf life significantly. The World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer classified processed meats as Group 1 carcinogens back in 2015, with specific reference to nitrite-preserved products consumed on a regular basis. That is the WHO's own formal classification system, not a fringe opinion, not a conspiracy theory. Sodium content sits at approximately 900 milligrams per 100 grams high, even within the processed meat category. A couple of slices in a lunchtime sandwich delivers 400 to 500 milligrams of sodium in a single hit. And the ham protein content itself, water, carrageenan, and starch fillers are added to budget deli ham to reduce actual meat protein density while maintaining the visual appearance of a proper full ham slice. You are eating filler held together with a ham-flavoured binder. At this price per kilogram, the actual deli counter consistently does better. Number 1. Coles brand cooking margarine. This is the one that genuinely bothers me the most on this entire list. Coles' own brand cooking margarine gets grabbed week after week because people have been told for decades loudly and repeatedly that margarine is the heart-healthy choice over butter. That narrative is outdated. And in some cases, it is actively misleading people who are trying to do the right thing. The issue with budget margarines like this one is intraesterified fats, the industrial replacement for trans fats that were largely phased out after the 90s. Research published in the journal Nutrition and Metabolism in 2019 found that intraesterified fats raise LDL cholesterol and simultaneously lower HDL cholesterol. That is the exact opposite physiological effect from what margarine has been marketed to produce for 3 solid decades. This product uses a canola and sunflower oil blend both high in omega-6 polyunsaturated and fats. Australia's average dietary omega-6 to omega-3 ratio already sits at approximately 15:1, according to Australian Bureau of Statistics Nutrition Survey data, far above the recommended 4:1 ratio. Adding more omega-6 through daily cooking fat shifts that ratio further in the wrong direction, contributing to systemic inflammation that underlies cardiovascular disease, joint problems, and metabolic dysfunction. And people cook with this every single day without thinking. Breakfast eggs, dinner stir-fries, baking, it goes into everything. Spend the extra couple of dollars on actual butter. Your body will thank you considerably more than the marketing department that designed that yellow tub ever will. Number 5. Coles brand traditional rolled oats. Here is where things genuinely turn around, and I will be completely straight with you about why this one earns its spot without any hesitation from me whatsoever. The ingredient list is 1. Item long, oats. That is it. No added sugar, no vegetable oils, no flavor enhancers, no fillers of any kind. In an environment where private label products routinely pad their ingredient panels with things nobody asked for, a single ingredient product is rare, and it deserves honest recognition. Rolled oats carry a glycemic index of around 55, significantly lower than those cornflakes we discussed earlier, which means sustained energy release without the blood sugar crash 2 hours later. Beta-glucan, the soluble fiber naturally occurring in oats, has strong, peer-reviewed clinical evidence supporting its ability to meaningfully reduce LDL cholesterol levels. The Heart Foundation of Australia specifically includes oat-based foods in its cholesterol management dietary guidance. 3 grams of beta-glucan daily, easily achievable through one standard bowl, has genuine clinical backing behind it. Under $3 for a 750-gram bag. Honest product, honest price, honest nutrition. Number 4. Coles brand. Canned chickpeas. Canned legumes don't get nearly the credit they deserve in Australian households. And Coles' own brand canned chickpeas are a genuinely trustworthy product that punches well above its modest price point every single time. Preserved in water and salt, nothing else of any real concern. Sodium sits around 220 milligrams per 100 grams, and draining and rinsing the chickpeas before use reduces that figure by roughly 40%, according to established food science data, bringing them even closer to a clean whole food with nothing to worry about. Chickpeas deliver around 7 grams of protein and 6 grams of dietary fibre per 100 grams. For older Australians, where protein intake and gut motility are genuine everyday health priorities, that is meaningful nutrition sitting in a can that costs around $1.50. The CSIRO's Gut Foundation identifies regular legume consumption as one of the most evidence-backed dietary habits for supporting microbiome health and reducing colorectal cancer risk, one of Australia's most prevalent cancer types year after year. Coles' private label here offers no meaningful disadvantage compared to any branded equivalent. Buy it confidently. Number 3. Coles brand Australian extra virgin olive oil. I was genuinely skeptical about including this one. Olive oil fraud is a thoroughly documented global problem products, labelled extra virgin, that are actually lower grades, diluted, or blended quietly with cheaper seed oils. Choice. Australia's 2020 consumer testing found that several imported olive oils sold in Australian supermarkets labelled as extra virgin actually failed free acidity and peroxide value testing standards. Coles' own brand Australian extra virgin olive oil. Specifically the domestically sourced variety tested within International Olive Council standards in independent assessments, with free acidity sitting below the 0.8% threshold that defines genuine extra virgin classification. The Australian domestic olive oil industry genuinely and meaningfully matters. Australian dairy is regulated under some of the strictest food safety standards anywhere in the world. Coles private label milk is sourced from Australian farms, pasteurised and homogenised locally, and subject to Food Standards Australia-New Zealand testing protocols covering antibiotic residue, hormone content, and microbial safety at every stage. Clear, fully traceable supply chain, not by Coles' goodwill, but by legal requirement. Full cream milk contains around 3.8% fat, and that fat is not the health enemy. It was loudly made out to be for 30 years of nutritional advice. A comprehensive 2020 meta-analysis published in the European Journal of Nutrition covering 29 separate studies and over 938,000 total participants found no significant association between dairy, fat consumption, and cardiovascular disease risk, and actually found an inverse association with type 2 diabetes risk. The low-fat milk push that dominated dietary advice for decades has simply not held up under the weight of current, rigorous evidence. Consistently, one of the cheapest full cream milks available in any Australian supermarket. Clean product, regulated supply chain, nutritionally solid, and completely honest about what it is. Sometimes the simplest, most straightforward choice is the right one. This is exactly that.